Welcome to the Art of War podcast. I'm your host Nick, and I'm here with my co-host Daniel.
Hey guys, good to be here again.
And today we have a very special guest, Calum Rogers from the Dunedin.
Yeah. Hello everyone. How we doing?
How you doing, Calum?
Not too bad.
So,
Good week
welcome
of
to our
Skirmish.
podcast.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
You heard us talk shit about you a few times, you know.
Well, call me the same as Kenny Forrester.
Yeah, it's
so-
basically, you're basically the same.
Yeah,
I'm not going
that's
to deny
true.
my...
I'm indifferent to all of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time coming.
I'm waiting
so-
for you to win a calling, a nationals, like the real Rogers. So, you know, until then, you know better than Kenny.
Yeah, so I guess I'm getting a legal name change.
Forrester?
So, obviously people from Dunedin know who you are, but
For those
for any
outside-
listeners that are not from Dunedin, can you just give a bit about yourself and how you got into Flesh and Blood?
Yeah. So I knew Daniel from high school. So kind of
Poor thing.
poor thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel for you already.
Was sort of into tabletop Magic for maybe like a year or two, just like making dumb decks, whatever, and then just stopped playing TCGs for ages. And then last year, Daniel told me about great new TCG, Flesh and Blood, that I should be playing. And
I said something along the lines of, don't play Magic.
yeah,
Play
come
this
and
instead.
try play this instead. And yep, I was roped back into the world of TCGs. My bank account hates me, but loving every moment of it.
Yeah. So, you know, talk about what sort of kind of decks you like, and you know, what do you play? What are you after in Flesh and Blood?
So, what I'm after is many.
I don't think you're quite as after
There's
as
only
the
one
same
answer
thing
to
as
this.
us, right?
Yeah, so as many people in the Dunedin will know, I consider myself, I joke around, I'm after dopamine hits. So the first intro deck that I picked up was Katsu, because I play a lot of fighting games, and it appealed to me. It's kind of the design of Katsu, and you know, stringing those combo pieces together, you do get those big dopamine hits.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Yeah,
Every successful hit is another punch of dopamine into
Yeah.
the blood.
like Flesh and Blood has kind of borrowed a lot of design elements from like fighting games. And,
Yeah, it does feel like it.
like,
It
and
is
wrestling
like
as
we
well.
are.
Tons of
Yeah.
wrestling
yeah.
references as
Yeah.
well. So.
It's even mentioned on the Katsu page on the official website that his playstyle, like the design, is tied into traditional arcade fighters. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Very-
does really get that feeling across with his pulling strings of combos together.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very good time. So yeah, just playing to have fun, improving as well.
Mhm.
I'm one of those guys where I at least had to get somewhat competent and keep improving. I
Yeah.
do really enjoy that aspect of the game as well.
Yeah.
Just the limitless depth of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So you recently tasted your first top 8 at the
Yeah.
at the Skirmish sealed event
Yep.
at Megazone. So what's next? Nationals?
National,
Are you the
yeah,
next-
yeah.
Are you the next Rogers?
Yeah, we just, maybe top 8 of Road to Nats, no big deal.
So anyone that doesn't really know, Calum is my Daniel's and Liam's one of our main training partners. So
Yeah.
if we do have a proper sit-down session, all four of us will sit
Yeah.
down and we just
Yeah.
grind out games for hours
Here's
and hours.
our Katsu stress test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we build a deck and we want to see if it'll survive against Katsu, then Calum's our main man.
Yeah.
So yeah, specifically aggro Katsu.
Yeah.
Very, very aggressive build. It's kind of me. I kind of, as a piece of the puzzle, I'm the resident aggro player for
Yeah.
the testing.
Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about the build, because I think it's something that you've kind of really honed in on.
Yeah, so I first started when I first got into building Katsu more. I just initially ripped Nick Anderson, who's a very good aggro Katsu player from Auckland. I took his list. He wrote an article on his list from Nats. I kind of took that as a starting point, played it out, kind of liked the deck, but wasn't a huge fan of, I guess, too many combo pieces. The main thing being Whelming Gust Waves. So there was a post that Matt made on Facebook quite a long time ago talking about cards that were holding people back and decks back, and the big one at the time was like Enlightened Strike. People would just throw the good
Just
card
chuck
in
it
any
into the
deck,
deck,
right?
right?
Yeah.
It's
And one thing that I noticed he touched on, that she said was a big mistake that all of the ninja players were making, was he keeps seeing 9 Whelming Gust Waves in every aggro Katsu list, which, funny enough, bricks a lot of your hands. It's very rare that you actually get this massive Lord of Wind combo off. It's a very known quantity at this point. Everyone knows how to block
Yeah.
that line. It's been in the game since the very start. So he said the way to play it, like the way to start building it, is you're looking at applying pressure every single turn while trying to set up your big blowout turns. So I ended up cutting down the combos really, really slim. So I run Surging Strike and Leg Tap line, and I've only got 2 red Whelmings and 2 red Rising Knees, and then 3 of the blues.
And they're just really to like search or sometimes
Yep.
arsenal if you see them.
They're just searching or arsenaling them if you see them, and they're really for building those like massive blowout turns. So this way you basically never brick. You're always, at least as everyone's seen in Ira, Darchi, threat with potential go again is very, very good. And even in Classic Constructed, that threat of Mask, threat of go again, Katsu trigger as well is even bigger.
Yep.
You're able to strip cards from hand consistently while setting up your Plunderons, Art of Wars, another combo opener, and start crafting the big blowout turns, because that's really how you get ahead.
The way I see the Katsu deck is it's like basically an engine that just applies continual pressure to basically try and crack your opponent as their armor wears down and stuff. So what are can you name some of the cards that you think really help apply that pressure and keep your opponent on their toes?
So,
what gets you through?
So what gets you through and what kind of applies pressure are almost 2 different factors in the deck. So what applies your pressure is all of the red combo openers, or your very good red generics, so your Scars, Life for Lifes, Rebels, Torrents, Leg Taps, Head Jabs, Surging Strikes. Those are your pressure cards. So you're doing Darchi pressure, or the card opening threatening Katsu. And then what really gets you over the top is your Art of Wars and Plunderons from Arsenal. So while you're applying that pressure, you're trying to get those cards in Arsenal for your massive blowout turn, where your opponent, say, you suddenly craft this hand, you got Plunderons sitting in your Arsenal, you're playing against, say, like a Dorinthia, a very common matchup, and the Dorinthia swings at you, and you go no blocks. They swing at you again, you go no blocks, they get a counter. The Dorinthia's got a counter, but they're absolutely terrified of what's coming up, because you're stripping the whole hand, or they're taking. Like, the ceiling of damage on Katsu is nuts. At minimum, it's like 20 plus damage.
Yeah, with the Plunderon, draw 2 card turns and stuff, it's just very crazy.
So it's, these big blowout turns that really blow the game right open, swing open the pressure, and then they're having to try and maintain life total because they can't trade back anymore, and it's just rinse and repeat.
One of the key things that I've heard you talk about in regards to playing Katsu is the amount of defense reactions in the deck. So do you talk about how many defense reactions you should play in your deck and what kind of effect they have on how you play?
So it really depends on the game plan. I currently run 5 defense reactions total, so I'm running 3 red Flick Flacks. Really good against all of those go wide decks where you're like the mirror chain now popping up, where you can't race chain with no defense reactions because he's got a massive ceiling. He's going to be able to block you out with his armor. He's kind of got a massive fridge, you don't. And then 2 unmovables. I wish I had space for 3, but I just currently don't in the list. And those are shutting down your Bravos has become very popular now, and Dorinthia as well. And Flick Flag also plays in Dorinthia because they got go tall and go wide.
What do you think about like running famous hands and sink blows as well? What do you think about like the higher defense reaction Katsu lists?
So those kind of, I really personally I don't like them, and if you're trying to go more aggro, I think they definitely have a place in a more mid-range Katsu, which we saw at the Pro Quest recently actually. But they kind of fall into the trap, which I mentioned before that Matt mentioned it. It's like they were like the Welcome to Wraith good cards, right? You just throw them in because they're good cards, but if you're trying to go applying that pressure, they're not really cohesive with your game plan. Like the unmovables and Flick Flacks are the most value you get.
So like
and it's kind of
you have a real big blowout turn, and then you next hand you draw 2 blues, 2 Flick Flacks, or you 3 Flick Flacks. And then you just one turn you lost all the pressure. Your opponent gets to keep his hand, and he gets to strip yours next turn. It's just very counterintuitive for an aggro ninja player that just wants to keep applying pressure. So running them as slim as possible is great, because it means at most you only ever see 1 in a hand at a time. And you just have a slower turn with some pressure and get an arsenal.
And you get that in arsenal, and it kind of lets you hold your hand on. But I think it's really important. I think Katsu, more so than other classes, kind of falls into the trap where sometimes you'll just draw the nuts, right? So it's a lot harder to pinpoint is your deck actually is it built towards the certain game plan or play style that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's I think a very easy track to fall into, because if you've got a bunch of combo cards in there, like you're running the 9 Whelmings, 6 Surging Strikes, you're going to naturally draw Surging Whelming at some point in your, over the course of some games. But to keep it consistent,
there are going to be times where you
spans.
draw 3 Whelmings or 4 Whelmings or 3 Surgings and not the resource to play them with Kadashi's Go again. So, they feel wasted, right?
Very red line deck, right? So you don't always draw the blows. So you need to somewhat keep in mind, how am I going to play my red hand?
And the problem is, the more aggro version, it does have more reds in it, but they also has more red zeros. So it means that you're not totally negated from doing things.
You have your scars,
but the 9 Surging, 9 Whelming, you can draw a whole Surging hand and then you're bricked, right?
Yeah.
You're playing 2 Surgings max.
Yeah. Those 0 costs are really important, because even if you have an all red hand, you get a pitch of 0 cost red, you still get to apply some pressure, and you've got threats going back into your deck.
Yeah.
And you're still getting that chip damage through. So
yeah.
Cool.
So that's your current hero-ship with the game and your past hero-ship with the game.
Yeah.
What are you looking to do with this set going forward? Now that Blitz is over.
Now that Blitz is over, yeah. Probably just I want to try exude confidence in Katsu with like a plunder run slightly more leaning towards the setup, like more so on the setup side, because I think it has some potential.
Just try and lock your opponent out of the game with the exude.
Yeah, with like Snapdragons or Razor Up, it's a really, really big threat. I don't know how consistent it'll be. That honestly, after the skirmish weekend, part of me wants to at least try Livia somewhat.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's this massive damage ceiling as well, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah. Livia strikes me as a hero that you enjoy. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're after dopamine, check out, Calum's Katsu list. So,
Yep,
I'm sure we'll be able to get a deck list for it eventually at some point.
Yeah.
So, post it up. Check that out. Anyway, this weekend, we had the Dice Jar and Mega Zone skirmish events. So we had a double header down here in Dunedin, and it was a really sweet event.
Yep.
You can watch the entirety of
the Dice Jar one.
The Dice Jar event
on the YouTube
we had
page.
A really, really fantastic stream. I think our best one yet.
Yeah.
With Alan Hale and Ian Kenderdine commentating.
Yep.
So that was really cool. And I think
they did an amazing job. Yep.
Every single one of us featured on the
Yep.
on the table at some point.
No, not all of us got to talk.
That's true. We won't speak on that game. No, we will probably.
Calum will be in big trouble if he talks.
Yeah. No, that game was quite entertaining, at least.
It was good to showcase us each on there and showcase different things that we can do and different play styles that we had. One thing they did make a comment on after going back and watching for that was why so many of the Ira players were playing Goliath Gauntlet, which is something that
yours truly.
After I gave you some advice, so
I think you forced me to Potion of Strength. Potion of Strength was what you wanted. And Goliath.
Potion of Strength is one of my favorite cards. It's like a pet card of mine. So, and Ira was basically crushing Blitz, and I was like, hey, you know what's better than Command and Conquer for 7? Command and Conquer for 9. So let's put Potion of Strength in there. It helps your blue count, helps your wizard matchup, and on your first turn it's amazing. And Dachi Strength Potion is not so bad off a 2-card hand.
Yeah.
So we were playing that and it did really well. We really liked it. And then in the end we're like, this is so good, Command and Conquer for 9. What if we just started with Strength Potion and play? So
Goliath. I ended up forcing Goliath Gauntlet in there, and a lot of your matchups, you just play it because it is just so much pressure. There are a few matchups where you don't play it, your Bravo matchup and your Rhino matchup, and of course your Wizard matchup. Yeah. You can't play it. You probably shouldn't play it in your Ira Mirror, but I think that comes down to a skill difference choice.
I mean, it depends
if
how
you're,
you know the play to play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So if you know the play to play very well, I think Goliath is a better option.
Yeah, but if you're expecting a Command and Conquer really early, I think because you're choosing the Goliath Gauntlet over Breaking Scales, right?
Yeah.
Which has that 1 block.
Yeah.
And that can really save you against 7 armor
Yeah.
So because you can block 6 and then with the scales match Command and Conquer for 7.
Yeah.
But down here, people aren't playing breaking scales, so the Command and Conquer isn't for 7, it's for 9. So it's like, breaking scales doesn't help me. I might as well play Goliath Gauntlet.
Yeah.
So, we just end up playing Goliath Gauntlet against each other.
I think Goliath Gauntlet is a really interesting take on the Ira deck. It's sort of almost the Dunedin version of the game plan that Matt and Co came up with for Ira of how they started winning the mirror, which was the life for life flying kick plan, which is you're going to eke out and you can't really just play standard Dachi threat against each other because someone's just going to win the RNG. So their game plan
someone's
was
going to get the better cards in the hand and win the RNG.
So their game plan, their big tempo swing turn was with life and Arsenal and flying kick, and they're throwing mask on the second chain link to stop their mask trigger. They're taking the damage and they're going Dachi life for 5. Potentially another Dachi depending how much resource, or flying kick for 7, and that's just this massive blowout turn. And Goliath Gauntlet acts as the same thing.
Yeah, so Goliath it creates another pathway line that I quite enjoy more, and I did get to throw out at the calling at people, not the calling just beam, but the calling before on the Blitz one.
Yeah, we've been playing with this for quite a while. Basically, the way you use the Goliath Gauntlet is you use it as a pivot turn. So on turn 3 or turn 4, you draw your first Command and Conquer, you hold it, and then you go 1-9 with it, and it basically forces your opponent, because usually an Ira player has Arsenal to flick flack or something by that point. You just catch them out with it, and basically, it's almost like a crippling.
But basically, every time an Ira versus someone usually Arsenal's flick flick or Sink Below or Fate for Sink, like not just your Iron Mirrors and your other matchups as well, because they want to be prepared for that big blowout thing and not have to throw 2 cards away for it, right?
Command and Conquer is such a crucial card in Blitz because like the Arsenal cards are such a high power level, like you're talking like Blood Rush Bellows or Steel Blade Supremacy. So the Command and Conquers of like real value that people really want to block them. Yeah. So.
But the big blowout turn that I was talking about that is comparable to Life for Life and Flying Kick is the E-Strike Command and Conquer turn. So my game plan in most of my calling matchups was to get Potion Strength and leave Goliath out until I got Potion Strength out, and then wait until my E-Strike command hand and Pitch Blue, Sun Kadashi, E-Strike for 8, pop Snapdragons, command for 10. Yeah. And I managed to pull it off twice during that, and the one time I did, like blew people's minds. They were like 3 tables down. And it's just like it's not something to come back from. Yeah. Because most people throw their cards away on that E-Strike because they're like, oh yeah, E-Strike for 8? That's a big hitter. I gotta throw at least 1 card, maybe 2 cards away and take some damage. Yeah. Or they're fully blocking it out. And then the command that's even higher that comes next just throws them so out of the water they can't deal with it.
I don't know if maybe I'm just not as lucky. But I don't usually end up using it as my Goliath Gauntlet as a pivot turn. I end up using it more as a finisher. Yeah. So when I play Ira, I usually play kind of slow in the mid game, try and eke my value out of my flick flacks, and then get to a point where I can really punish them with the Goliath Gauntlet. It doesn't have to be on Command and Conquer. It can be on Flying Kick or Nourishing Emptiness.
Well, you can't do it on Flying Kick because then you're not, you
had to break it at the
very start of
the combat.
So you break the Goliath Gauntlet, and you go Dachi Flying Kick for 9. So you can do it on either of those, and with Tunic, you can do it off a very low number of cards and just present an amount of damage that your opponent just has to 4-card block it. So it's initiating that point in the game where your opponent has to 4-card block, and then you're looking to keep the tempo up and then just leak until they die. Yeah. So.
Basically, the later the game goes on, the more it turns into their 4-card block, and you're looking for the 1-outs turn, which is either an unconditional go again or a ceiling that's too high, right? Yeah. Where they can't overblock it. Yeah. And that's what the game turns out to be. And you see a lot of that on the stream, even in my game and in your game, and even in Stephen and Calum's game. Yeah. You see that we get to our last 3 or 4 turns, and we're just forcing a 4-card block every turn from our opponent, and we're just looking for that unconditional go again, or
you're looking for the flying kick. Or the
something that's
just something that lets you go over the top and kill them. Or
Yeah.
It gets a 3
Demands
block
an extra
or,
block.
Or the Razor. Razor does
Yeah.
the trick as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people thought like drone got banned. Ira doesn't have enough threats. It still has enough threats. You know?
I personally thought that the drone ban helped Ira, to be honest.
I think it does. It moves them away from a certain game style that isn't inherently good, in my opinion.
I think it was kind of more in like if you're in the armor and they're running drone, they have an infinite threat.
But
it made the Iras have like way more threats, right?
Yeah. To me, it feels like it made the Ira mirror like more momentum based as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
rather than just who can eke out more out of every single card, and then drone their opponent.
Yeah, it just made like it turned just turned it from a min-maxy match to an actual like tempo match.
Yep.
Which is so much better because I hate having to play a game where you have to min-max every time, every turn, But that's it. I feel like one of the things I did comment on when I was talking to Alan and Ian and how they mentioned how there wasn't really too many new heroes here. I did mention that a lot of us, not just us, but like other people have just swung back into their old routine. So the meta here for Blitz for the new set hadn't really developed much further. It ended up being like first night there was like 5 prisms, and then next night there was 5 Leviers to dominate those 5 prisms, and then the prisms disappeared, and then the Leviers just weren't getting like they were being undervalued because they were all built to beat prism, and then they just dropped.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of prism, a lot of Livia, not to beat prism, just because I thought the deck was cool, and I see on stream, the deck is really fun. It's very strong when it's going, but it's just a little inconsistent, which is why I fell back on Ira. And Ira, I think, unfortunately for a lot of people, is still the deck. It's gonna crush Blitz for time to come, unless they do something about Flick Flack, I think.
It's so consistent. Consistency is king, especially, and with the deck that's so comfortable to pilot.
I feel like the more the Monarch format gets developed, the more of a chance there is that Ira does get slightly pushed off the table. I don't think she ever comes out at the moment. With Flick Flack in play, I don't think she ever falls off the table.
Yeah.
But I think she drops down the table, right?
I definitely think there is like lots of room for Prism and Livia to come into the game. And Chain as well. I think a more aggressive chain build could make it, but the meta just wasn't quite there. Those decks haven't been discovered yet, and it's just easier to top by playing the tried and trusted.
Yeah. You got more skill points in it, right?
Talking about performance, how'd you guys go?
Alright, so on the Saturday we had the Blitz one, which was all 3 of us chose a ninja of some sort, right?
We're all ninjas.
Yeah,
we're all ninjas. We all like. I have an extreme amount of time on ninja or Ira at least.
Yeah.
And quite as much as on ninja probably as well.
Yeah. I don't have as much time on Ira. I played it a little bit in the past.
Yeah.
I played one armory beforehand, and then I just played it here.
Yeah.
And you
I decided to spice things up a little bit. I decided to go old school. I was playing Katsu and Blitz.
Yeah.
On the Saturday, decided I just find, although Ira is good, I find it too dull.
Like because Katsu is largely been forced out of the meta by Ira. How do you find that dynamic?
So, given that both players play optimally and play perfectly, I think the matchup is abysmal. I generally don't think it's very winnable for Katsu unless you're high rolling the Ira, which can happen. But I think if both players are playing correctly, the Ira is just strictly better deck.
Yeah, Flick Flack and the +1 just make it so hard.
Yeah. But no, I ended up playing. Actually, it was the night before. I decided I was going to play Katsu, just have as much fun as I could, and I took Jason Chung's list from the Blitz-A-Thon stream from the very, very start, which was, funny enough, almost like the Blitz version of the constructed Katsu deck that I've been playing. It's super light on the combo, all of the combo chain starters, and it's that pressure build with the blowout turns, which was just lots of fun.
Yeah.
So. Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
So, do you know what place you came?
I came 10th. So I went. It was 5 rounds, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went 3-2. Unfortunately, I lost round 1.
Yeah.
So starting off X and 1, that makes the breakers super rough.
Yep.
Yeah, so I ended up going...
You just have to win every one of your matches from that point to get in.
So
and
just
or,
caught on the bubble.
Caught on the very edge. Yeah.
And us two, we both top 8'd.
Yeah, we both top 8. I did lose my first match in Switch, like Calum. Me and Calum actually sat side by side for that match.
Yeah.
And as Ira, I got to appear against one of the 2 decks that I feared the most, which was Kano Player 1.
Yeah.
And Kano Player 2, but first Kano Player 1 in...
Kano Player 1, was this Jesse?
Yeah, it was Jesse.
It was Jesse.
Pretty typical Wizard matchup. I play Needle, first turn get wrecked by Fate for
Something that happened to me as well, actually.
I should have spoken to you about that, to be honest, because...
he actually, the funny thing is, I was talking to him in the armory, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to put Fate for Scene in my deck so that someone's going to needle me and break...
So the thing is,
and I'm like, yeah, right, mate, you're just bluffing me.
Yeah, no. So the thing is, in the last couple of weeks of Armory, he wasn't just running one Fate for Scene. He was running Sync Blows and, like, other things as well.
Running
that were
blue unmovables, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was basically playing Mings, and then it was just conditioning
and I was
Iron.
thinking, this is such a bait.
Yeah.
He's just going to go back to Streamline.
But yeah,
and crush anyone that doesn't pick Needle. Wasn't a bait.
He managed to get one Ira that versed him that didn't play Needle, and it was Steven. And it was largely due to the fact that Steven didn't want to play Needle in Ira, period. Yeah. Jesse thought it was because of the fear of the defense reaction, but it wasn't the case. But yeah, I did, You know, basically you lose that Needle and you lose a lot of your tempo.
Yep.
In the Wizard matchup, if you don't have tempo from the start, like your very first turn, you've lost.
Yeah. And
you just have to draw that one quad red hand, eh?
Yeah, and I've noticed that Wizards now have started running red reverberates as well, and Blitz, this more aggressive Wizard as well, where if they're stripping more cards from hand, because that reverberate doesn't seem like much, but that on hit, if that does hit, is a massive threat.
Yeah.
And,
you lose that Needle, you lose the 4 damage every turn.
Yeah, so I went X and 1 in Swiss.
I
lost to Liam Spronkin, who was on Wizard in round 3, and won all my other games.
We had a very interesting.
Rolled in that game.
We had quite a surprisingly diverse Swiss round.
So look at the breakdown for the skirmish one, the top one. Yeah. So this is the overall one. It was is it 28?
Numbers are pretty small.
No, it's 31%.
About 30%.
The viewers at home
can
31% see it a bit
Ira,
clearer than us.
31.8% Ira.
So it's a bit lower than the average, I think, Ira count. I think Ira usually gets about 40%, roughly 50%. We still see Dorinthia hanging in there, really consistent.
I think that the reason it's not higher is we do have a lot of resident players that are home staging their favourite heroes rather than
and Dorinthia has always been a popular hero. Often she's one of the first heroes people pick up. Got some Kasai, got some Levia players, Rhinar. I think it's one Bolton.
Do you know what that is, right? It is
so that's
2 Dorinthia, 2 Kano, 2 Kasai, 2 Livier, 2 Rhinar.
Yeah. And then 1 Bolton.
One Bolton, 1 Dash, and 1 Katsu.
No Prism.
No Prism.
No Prism at all.
No Chain.
Which is odd, right?
Yeah.
You'd think the Prism and Chain would be the most played heroes from Monarch A. So what do you guys think that is?
I think the Prisms are... I know that Brute is at least somewhat of a presence in Blitz, and I think Prisms are just absolutely terrified.
Yeah, they're terrified. They're so terrified. Like, even I, as a Prism player, like, when I want to play Prism. I really do want to play Prism, because it's such a fun go-wide deck that just presents so much damage. But you just like, every time you play, and then like, your first attack you play, you see the 6, and you're just like, yeet, I don't want to play this anymore.
And especially because those Brute decks, Prism has, I believe, I can't remember what herald it is, it gives a -1. So a lot of the Ira decks and stuff, you side in maybe one, like Nourishing Emptiness or Commands, whatever, you got your 6 power attacks, it'll pop most of everything.
Yeah.
But that one herald, so... But the Rhinar decks and the Brute decks,
Olivia can play Red Grappling Growl, and
they got 7-8 powers, and it just feels like a buy for the Prism, right?
Yeah.
Here's my attack, gets popped, and they're fine functioning off 2 card hands for the majority of the time.
You get stuck with a 2-card hand, and it's 2 cards you didn't want because you needed to throw them down for an attack after turn. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting though, Bravo as well. I was actually considering
Bravo.
playing Bravo a wee bit. I think Bravo is potentially a top tier deck in Blitz.
I would just like to point out that this is, I don't think this is representative of what the...
Yeah, so
Blitz
this
meta
is this is
definitely
not
not.
a represent.
This is a
meta.
highly skewed meta.
Yeah.
Basically, it's people's pet heroes that people are playing, and you know, a lot of the new Monarch heroes are not very tested.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the one thing that looks correct to me is Kano, Dorinthi, and Ira being very well represented. Those three seem to be very powerful. Rhino, I think, is very powerful, but I think as going forward, we're going to see more prisms, more chains, and a lot more Bravo. I think Bravo is going to be a powerhouse going forward. It's just that he's not very popular down here.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much the only Bravo player.
Yeah.
Someone will disagree with that.
There are a few
Not me.
others.
Yeah.
There are a few others, but most of them tend to just swap onto Ira for Blitz. So,
Yeah.
Yep. Should we move to the
Yeah,
top 8?
and then the top 8 is very representative of what we've seen in the past for Blitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What
weird.
does this look like?
4 Ira players, 2 Dorinthias, and 2 Kanos. Our Kanos were Liam and Jesse.
Yep.
Our Dorinthias were
Hagen
Hagen and Rowan. And our Ira players was me, you, Sasha, and who was the 4th?
Stephen Steele.
Stephen. Yes, you're quite correct. Yes. Oh, I feel bad for forgetting
Yeah.
that one.
So, interesting thing happened round 1 is quite a lot of the Ira players
Didn't
fell
pair
out.
up, yeah. A lot of them fell out, and a lot of them didn't pair against an Ira.
Yeah.
So I round 1 versus Rowan, and I got blown out by a really big warrior turn really early in the game, and it just
It can happen, right?
Yeah.
Come back.
slightly tilted me. I'm not gonna lie, and then I made a miss block on the next turn by one damage, which just killed me. Well, it didn't kill me then, but it just presented that I was gonna die for the rest of the game. There was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
I also played into Warrior, played Hagen, and I thought I was going to lose that one. First turn I got Supremacy, Iron Song Determination, stack for 6 with Dominate.
Yeah.
I can block it, and then he breaks Bolters and plays Red Warrior's Valor, which he draw off the top and hits me for 9. I just block as much as I can, but I drop below 10 on turn 1.
Yeah.
My turn 2 was big. I got to get off Nourishing Emptiness and draw 5 cards, but still I felt really far behind. And the second turn, he had his counter and he played another Determination, hit me with Dominate again, which I couldn't block all off. So it was a really frightening game, but somehow, through a matter of inches, I came out on top.
Yeah.
I think, just
You would have had to
misplays
min-max,
on
yeah,
either side
yeah.
meant that I could basically steal the win.
Yeah.
Um,
I know Liam versus Sasha and the Kano bet the Ira player.
Yep.
And Stephen versus Jesse.
Yeah.
So all the Wizard players went on to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
I believe so. And I mean, Liam's just so well versed on that Kano as well.
Yeah, I believe the
is
semi-final was Liam versus Jesse, and
I played Jesse.
you played Jesse.
I played Jesse,
Oh, yeah.
and Liam played.
Played Rowan.
Played.
Yes, Rowan.
Yeah.
Liam
so
played Rowan.
Liam took out Rowan with a massive blazing river.
Yeah, I was there for it. It ended up being, by the end of it, it was like presented like 24 damage in total.
I can't
So
remember.
just she had the turn before Nourishing emptied, so she had a 6-card hand. Guess how many blues she had in hand?
No.
1.
Oh, ouch.
But
And I think 1 yellow, and then the rest was red. So
But-
yeah,
it was an amazing turn to watch unfold. Liam gets a stir, either spindle off
for 5. Yeah.
for 5 or 6, and you're seeing
No, it's not Stir Aphis, but it was like Crucible Spindle for 5.
It was and you just see Liam up the top
5.
5 cards of deck, and then
God,
he's
yeah.
sitting. I don't play Wizard. I've played against Wizard enough to see that he's got the cards there to pull it out. I just don't know how he's doing it, and you just get to watch him craft the basically craft the perfect turn with Blazing Aether.
Build his opponent's
He had Blazing Aether in his hand, and he was like, I just need to get to the end and play this. He just ended up getting there, and
My turn game against Jesse was another Heroes. I had my needle broken turn 1 again, but I managed to, it was a bit of a shock, and I, to be honest, thought I'd lost the game right then and there.
Honestly, when I came over towards the end and I saw you guys were like 3 life versus 3 life, I was like,
I thought it was
what? I was like, I've never ever lived a wizard game and where it's been 3 life.
And I managed to steal it with a razor on my Soul Surviving Kadachi.
I looked at Jesse's hand and he was holding a Nourishing. I know he wanted to play the Nourishing next turn, but it wouldn't have valued him that well.
He actually, what he said after the game was he wanted to block with the Nourishing.
No, he should have blocked with the Nourishing. He chose not to because in part of his mind he wanted to play it.
He said to me that he was going to block my second attack with the Nourishing Emptiness. And that's why he didn't block the Kadachi when he was on 4. And of course I raised it, killed him.
Yeah.
And he didn't have enough damage quite to kill me through the sigil that I had in my arsenal.
Yeah.
So I was able to steal the win, which I honestly, after the needle dart in turn 1, I thought I had no business winning that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then go on to the finals, I guess. So
yeah, you and Liam.
Yeah.
Liam and I were playing, and
was it Turnster?
Yeah, well, Liam and I have played the Wizard Ira matchup a bunch of times. I played him on Wizard a million times, and I hardly ever win, frankly. And I got crushed on like turn 3. He just had it, drew the cards, and had all the damage. So massive congratulations to him for winning the skirmish event.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very, very well.
Yeah, I was happy to come second. So
it's
good. Got my top 8. Cold foil Olivia. So
for the whole thing, the skirmish, it just feels you only need to make top 8, right?
After that,
not to worry. The packs are all unlimited for the Blitz event, so like the difference between getting 3 and 5 packs or 6 to 12 packs is very negligible.
The top 8 is just like playing for some gravy.
Yeah, and the mat on top, but there's always the random mat.
Yeah, Saul got the random mat from down here.
The legend. He did it. He did it last skirmish.
He came down here, got it from Megazone.
Got one.
Yeah.
He got the Sky and he got the CNC.
Yeah.
So that was a Dice Jars skirmish. A really great event. Really happy to have been on stream.
Yeah, very well produced on stream.
Yeah.
It was top quality.
Definitely go check it out.
Yeah.
Not just plugging it. It's legitimately really great Fish and Blood content. So next we had the Megazone.
Yeah, you guys had the Megazone one. Tell me about that. You guys you played first edition sealed. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I had work and was unable to get off due to another work partner being away already.
Yeah.
But you guys got to play it. So talk about your sealed pools.
Come on, Nick. Fab priorities, right?
Yeah.
I was so tempted to quit my job. You have no idea. I was like, do I need this job? Do I need this job? And I was like, you know what? I just bought a house. I can't justify quitting my job for it.
So speaking of sealed pools, there was a library pulled on the day. There was a cold foil library pulled.
Was it Rowan?
No, it was one of the. So we had some people come down from Christchurch. One of the Christchurch lads who came down, managed to pull a library, which was pretty exciting. Pack 2, you hear it. Library isn't open. I'm like, oh, excellent, great, sealed's done.
Sealed's done. Can I go home? I'm not getting the library.
I've won more than anyone else here, and I haven't played a game.
Any legendaries?
Yes, there was a Phantasmal Footsteps.
Is that up?
Yeah.
One library and one footsteps.
I only saw one legendary. There might have been another, but I saw one. Yeah. And an extended art.
Yeah.
As well. Pulled the art table, the Luminar Ascension.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Extended art.
I didn't see that.
Steven's friend. I can't remember his name. He usually plays Magic.
Oh, Vern.
Yeah.
Vern came. Oh,
yeah, he came down.
Vern's quality. Oh, man. That man. That's a guy that comes in and he'll buy like one box of like the first edition, go home, and he'll pull the Fable or the Cult, like the main legendary for the set, and he'll be like, oh, this is cool, and then stick it on the shelf.
Yeah.
He's like, doesn't need the money, and he just likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always great to talk to when he comes in on a Friday.
Yeah. How was your seal pool? Yeah. Pretty good from how I understand.
Yeah, so I was cracking all my packs. I was down with my last pack. Nothing was looking super promising. I was kind of leaning towards Prism Pile because how the format kind of is, if nothing's really there, everything's average, you play Prism Pile. And I opened my last pack, and staring me in the face is the Prism Majestic Luminaris. I'm like, well, I guess I'm definitely playing Prism Pile now because that card in sealed is absolutely nuts value.
This is nuts value constructed.
As well. It just, even in seal, it lets you play 2 potential game plans. You have the go wide with the Heralds, with even attacking with 2 Heralds per turn is nuts. Or if that goes awry, you have Glistens, which you manage to pull, and it gets you have game plan number 2, which is stack a Spectral Shield token, and you're whacking someone for 5 with 0 resource.
Yeah. My seal pull was crap. So I pulled a Cold Foil Footsteps, which is like nice. But at the time I was like, I'd rather have something to help me win, make top 8.
You mean Time Skippers?
So what did I say?
Phantasmal Footsteps.
Okay, that would
sorry,
be nice. No,
yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? You just pulled a $500 card. Do you even care about the rest of it?
I wish.
Yeah.
I mean, Time Skip is a good pull, but this is no Phantasmal Footsteps. Yeah, well, I didn't even play it because I had Ironhide boots.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a nice pull, but it wasn't going to help me make top 8. I had 0 Majestics, and I was like, oh shit, my Prism cards don't look so good. I don't have enough 6 attacks to play Levia, and, you know, so I was looking at Bolton. I don't have chain cards either, I had like 1 seeds. It was like, it was pretty bad. But my Bolton list looks kind of promising. I don't have any of the good Bolton, like, rares and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have 3 red take flights. I'm thinking, maybe that's enough. It wasn't. So, round 1 I play into Calum at Luminaris, actually.
Yeah.
And
Get destroyed. There's I don't even need to know how this game went.
It was actually close. It was actually
How?
closer.
How? What are you
not
done?
seeing any heralds early kind of does the trick, right?
Yeah.
It gets
Yeah.
it done.
You just block out until you do.
Yeah,
I
it's
still was
pretty
going
much
to
the
lose
game,
that.
right? Yeah.
And, you know, the deck didn't feel good. I'm sorry, but the Bolton Commons, just bad.
Yeah.
Compared to Prism Commons, it's just bad. Anyway, a second round I play against a newer chain player, and he's making lots of mistakes, doesn't quite know what he's doing. He's obviously new to the game, or hasn't played the hero before, and normally I'd beat him quite easily, but I was struggling. Like, the game was very hard, and I'm thinking, man, I have to change something, otherwise it's, you know, I might make it worse, but as it is, there's no chance of making top 8 with this list.
Yeah.
So I win that game just. Like, it was fucking hard for how the game was going. And I swapped to Prism. I put together a Prism pile. I've got 2 red Heralds of Protection, red Dominate Heralds, and 1 red Herald of Rebirth. Those are my 4 Prism cards. That's my deck.
Yeah.
So I don't have any Spectres, I don't have any of the fancy rare Heralds, nothing. I have 4 red common Heralds, and that has to win me the tournament.
Yeah.
So,
and you managed to pull it out.
somehow. Third round I play a Prism player. I managed to get... Do I?
Probably played a Prism
I
player.
think I played a Prism.
Prism Power is very common.
Less than 24 hours ago,
Yeah.
I might add.
Yeah. Lots of things happen. Anyway, I managed to get tempo early and pitch a red Militia, which is one of my best cards. It was my finisher, to the bottom, and I managed to hit him with it when it mattered most. I pitched that along with a red Herald Protection on turn 1, and was able to Arsenal the other and get him with that. Round 4, I played a Bolton, and just smashed him, 20-0'd him.
Yeah.
Just because it was funny because I had a Halo, which was probably the best card for Prism I had. I made Spectral Shield. You got turn 1, so on the second turn I made Spectral Shield and attacked him for 4, and Herald, and then on his turn he just blocked me up, and then he played he 3-card blocked me, and then he played Memorial Grounds, putting the Stony Woodenhog that he played on turn 1 on top of his deck. So I was like, and I'd already hit with with a hero at that point. I think it was turn 3 that he did that or something. So I had 1 Spectral Shield and 1 card in cell, and he had put this 6+ power card on the top of his deck, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Just hold it in your hand, I dare you. So I make another Spectral Shield, and I start going 4/4 at him with the Iris, and he's holding this thing, and I'm like, play it, I dare you, do it.
Yeah.
And of course, my hero's garbage, so it's actually helping me, him having, he basically IP3'd himself by holding this 1 card, and eventually he bottoms it, and then I draw my heroes. 20, like, I ended 10-0 because I took damage at the end to kill him, but it was a 20-0 game basically. So, yeah, that game was like ridiculous in my favour. And then in the last round, I have a very, 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 very close game against Rowan on Prism, and that was literal. I had 2 cards left.
Didn't you? So you played her Swiss on the Saturday too in the very last round too, and that was like a cusp game. Like she was guaranteed locked in, and you were like maybe in, maybe out.
Yeah. And I beat her again on that one too.
Yeah. Interesting. I also had a very, very close game against Rowan on Prism in the Prism Mirror, and I had quite the finisher. So it was, I didn't see any heralds early. I start getting whacked with value. She's got quite a few good heralds, so I move into my second game plan, which is stack a Spectral Shield with my red glisten.
Which thank God didn't come out too early for me.
Stack a Spectral Shield with my red glisten, block out and start whacking for 5 off 0 and try and claw back some momentum. And we're both, and I have to take some damage, lose my Spectral Shield because it's my final turn of the game. If I don't kill her here, she's on 1 HP, I lose the game. And I get over by 1 Exacxes, or I lose, and my play is, I have a very calculated play. It is Warmonger's Recital or Seek Enlightenment, one of the two. It wasn't pretty irrelevant.
Just a buff, yeah.
A buff, Yellowfin Tasmify, +4, Dreamweavers, so it doesn't pop, Frontline Scout for 10. The little boy going in, just Frontline Scout for 10, and just gets over for exact.
Was her hand juicy?
Her hand, she had like some blinding beam.
You get to see it, right?
Didn't have a 3 block, so I just got over. But I just found that quite.
There's a lot of 2 blocks in this.
All the generics.
Just juiced up this little boy, stacked him full of roids, sent him out to
take it, man. Get it in there. You're a jock now.
Yeah.
You're not the water boy anymore.
Yeah, Phantasmify was one of the other cards I wanted. I didn't have Phantasmify. I didn't have the card that makes Spectral Shields as an instant. I didn't have anything fancy. I just had played 4 heralds.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So you guys get all to top 8.
Yeah, but
and then Liam did as well.
Yeah, but I guess
he pulled Genesis and crushed everyone.
I guess one thing to touch on with why Prism Pile is so, at least I feel is so common in Monarch Shield right now is the pieces that you need to kind of, I guess, bring the other classes together is a lot more to pull. So like Levia, you can have a bunch of 6 powers, and you can have that decent number, but you either need your Unworldly Bellows or your Dread Screamers. You either need to go super tall at the end to close it out, or go wide. You need 2 attacks at the end to close it out.
Kill yourself.
You need to not kill yourself, right? Same with Chain. You need seeds.
Chain, you need seeds of agony, like a few of them, and you also need lots of damage, because if you're chaining every turn, like you run out of cards so quick in those little formats, that if you don't have enough damage, your opponent can just block you out the entire time you lose.
Yeah.
So I think the Shadow Heroes are quite a bit of a disadvantage in Sealed.
Levia would be super good if you could consistently get the go wide, because it crushes Prism Pulse, obviously. And then Bolton has.
You can play around it if you have some of the generic power cards.
Yeah, like Zealous Beltane is very good.
Oh, I wish I had one of those myself.
Just anything that lets you go wide. Bolton as well. Bolton. Stubby Hammers is okay, but Gallantry Gold via the Vanguard. If you get those cards, you really do. You have a win condition that you can play towards for sure.
That was one of the reasons why my Bolton deck was not there. It's because I didn't have via the Vanguard, didn't have Gallantry Gold, so I didn't have anything to get me over.
Yeah. Which just makes things rough, to be honest.
All the other classes have very, I guess, more specific or harder to get in a sealed pool win conditions.
Yeah.
Prism, you're getting value against against 2 classes and then mirror, and it's just value permanently.
We've been robbed. Oh no, never mind. It's fine. It's just the owner of the store
Yeah.
that we're in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Greg
God.
just come in. Our stream manager is here today.
Yeah.
Welcome, Greg.
Welcome.
So, anyway, so carry on. You guys get to the top 8.
Top 8.
How did draft go? Talk about it.
Top 8
Oh, I
was
love
so
draft.
Much fun.
Oh, me and Daniel were sat next to each other, and we got gas.
Yeah.
I'll let
I
you
was
start.
the one chain player at the table. People are like, "Oh, you did such a. It was so smart of you to swap into chain." I'm like, taking chain cards the entire draft. I didn't even swap, bro.
So I was one of 2 Levia players. The other one was actually Liam, but he was direct other side of the table. But my pack 1, nothing very good. The best card in there is actually a red Boneyard Marauder. And I'm like, okay, it's the only good Shadow Brute card in. I'm thinking, well, Shadow Brute, no one really likes drafting it. Everyone's still kind of afraid of drafting Levia. Everyone defaults into Prism. Yep. I can cut it off to the left.
Yep.
And I just pick that pack 1, try and stay open with the generic pack second pick, and then it's just Shadow Brute gas the entire time.
So my first pack didn't have any good chain cards. So it's a good signal for me to play chain.
Yeah.
It seems ironic, but the more chain cards I pass on my left, the more likely they are to pick chain.
Exactly.
And then, dry up my pulls on the way back. But it did have a generic Tremors of Aerothal, which is a card that works well in chain, works well in Prism, works well in quite a few different decks. So I was like, I'll take that. That will leave me open for my first pick, and I have 2 good Levia cards in this pack. I have some good Prism cards in this pack. I have some good Bolton cards in this pack. I'm going to pass them all down. They can play those heroes. I had a fair idea that Calum would pick Levia. Just kind of seemed like something he would do.
It's the biggest dopamine class in that set. What can I say?
I mean, I could see Calum looking at the next 2 cards and being like, "It was huge."
It's big.
It's big.
Oh, Red Unworldly Bella. Don't mind if I do.
Exactly. And this all was to play to my plan.
Yeah.
So I ended up being the only chain player at the table, and it's like a pack in that the entire table seems to realise no one's playing chain because the last 4 cards in the pack are all chain cards. So unfortunately, a lot of players hate drafted me, but
Yeah.
some players overly.
Yeah. I had a
To
very
a ridiculous extent.
I had a very
The fear is real.
very interesting draft dynamic with Liam. Liam was debating afterwards that maybe he should have gone chain, but it was the way the pack ended up for us was very interesting. He ended up with the go wide win con for Levia, so he was getting those crucial dread screamers. However, I ended up with this go tall win con. I even had time skippers, so that kind of worked in my favor. I had all of these unworldly bellows, all of these dominate pumps as well, and I'm just like, okay, so this is my game plan, is I'm just whacking someone for dominate over 12.
I think one of the areas that I made a mistake in my draft was I had 2 opportunities to take a time skippers, and I skipped both of them.
Yeah.
For just like
You just never see it again.
or something. And I think if I had the time skippers, it would have made my matches a lot easier to win because it's, it just would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, during the draft process, I got hate drafted, and it was almost like one of the players was like, decided he wasn't playing this deck, but I'm going to take all the good cards for it anyway. Which seems like a strange strategy. I can see taking the really powerful cards. Obviously, that's like a really viable strategy, but you don't want to do it at the expense of your own deck, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I hate drafted pack 2, pick 1, but that's because I see a V of the Vanguard there. And I'm like, I do not want to play against a Bolton with V of the Vanguard.
Yeah. Yeah, so there, you do hate draft.
There is definitely some good hate,
but
draft
I think,
to a point. But yeah,
I think at a certain point, it becomes a toss up between
win, right?
it does come to that point. Are you playing to win?
Are you
like
playing
maybe
not
he
to
was
lose?
never ever playing to win, and he was already happy that he made top 8, and beyond then there was nothing point. And his more idea was, look, if I hate draft someone enough and get paired against them, it's not a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think it frustrates me because I think, although you've got top 8, I think you should still try and win.
Yeah.
And just
the problem is
basically try and run
the
someone's
incentive
game, I guess.
to actually winning is just a rubber mat.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in Dunedin don't have a huge ideology for
unlike a
rubber
particular,
mats. Unlike me,
yeah.
me being like the biggest man for, wanting
the neoprene
mats.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, neoprene crack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I got matched up against him round one anyway. But
My round 1 match was.
You know what he should have done to annoy you? Is like flipped all of them over and then put them all inside and be like,
he's like, I'm not playing chain. I've got as many seeds as you. And I'm like,
That's amazing.
Dan just goes into overdrive.
I'm like, oh,
Where's
man,
my steroids? I'm in.
I need more seeds.
I had a very fun round 1 match. It was against Stephen from Christchurch.
Yeah.
He was on Prism. It's a very good matchup for me. Just played it slow. As Livia, you don't really want to start the engine on too early, especially in the Prism matchup. You're kind of building up that graveyard. And it was quite unfortunate for him because it's like a very impossible matchup for him. But there was a point in the game where I had like 7 or 8 Blood Debt stacked up, and he'd banished 2 cards from my graveyard, and they've both missed. And we're both like on the edge of our seats, the adrenaline rush, and he flips over the third card in the graveyard. And luckily it was a 6 power, turned off the Blood Debt, coming in for this massive attack. And then, of course, the end game plan of he had played very well. His only out was getting this pound for pound dominate turn off.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause he was on the.
Or you just whiffing.
He's on the It's either me whiffing and I die to Blood Debt, or I have like a slightly off turn and he can get this dominate attack off and kill me. Unfortunately, couldn't get there fast enough.
Yeah.
Had the time skippers, which was very, very crucial. Big attack, 2 action points to get there.
My first game, I still had, despite hate drafting, I still had a very powerful chain deck. I played the Bolton play that hate drafted me, and his deck was not as powerful as mine. I just put damage on and he couldn't keep up, so he just swapped to 4-card blocking on like turn 3 to try and deck me out. And unfortunately for him, I had enough damage. I had 1 over to kill him with Red Militia, which is my MVP card of the day.
Surging Militia is insanely good.
Tin Pot Timmy.
Yeah, the little kid.
Tim Pot Timmy doing
Love that
it.
little kid.
Yeah.
And it was.
So then I play you in the
Yeah.
semis.
So the semis was very interesting. Going in, I had a game plan of chain hits this breakpoint at like 3 to 4 soul shackles, where they start.
Creating anything more kills them in sealed, and not having them kills them in sealed as well.
So that's kind of where chain gets going, and maybe I think after thinking back, I maybe had the wrong game plan going ahead. But mine was I build up my graveyard for the first 3 turns, and then because my deck had tons of damage, I'm like on his breakpoint when he's trying to do stuff, I want to be the one pushing the initiative and flicking the switch and just stripping
you just
his
want to
hand.
you want him to get to his 3 or 4 point. Like the first or second time he gets to his 3 or 4 point, take the damage, and then go big with your turn. But you need the hand for it to force it.
For me, I had a kind of different game plan than the usual chain play. It's because I know a lot of what was in Calum's deck. I passed him a lot of the cards.
So he was passing me 2 of the 3.
I think I was
rounds.
crafting Calum's Levy deck as much as he was.
Yeah, exactly, because Dan was at my right.
But yes, I'd seen a lot of the cards. I didn't think you had many cards that didn't block. So I was thinking he might be able to just block me out.
I didn't have a lot of block cards.
Ensure that he starts banishing things. So I need to ensure that he starts his Blood Debt and then stop him right there. So that I can get him on the back foot and make a block or just take loads of damage to satisfy his Blood Debt. So it seems odd, but my first turn I didn't make a Soul Shackle on purpose. Didn't miss it, I chose not to, because I wanted to ensure that I'd have cards enough to keep the game going until we got to that point.
Yeah.
So I played focusing on getting my weapon attacks on the first 2 turns to preserve some of my deck. I was a bit worried about my ability to deal lots of damage. So Calum, fortunately for me, banished, I think on turn 3, got 2 Blood Debt cards.
Yeah, so when I decide to flip the switch, I do hit the banish, which initially seems good, right? But the thing with Levia is that you're optimally on Levia, even though it's random, you're wanting to be banishing that 1/6 power with Blood Debt. You're trying to keep your graveyard stocked up well. And unfortunately, I think I flicked.
I think you hit 2, leaving 1 in.
Yeah. So I flicked the switch maybe a turn too early. I had another game plan that I could have gone for afterwards, which I'll touch on, but my odds then for the graveyard kind of dwindled and got low.
Yeah.
So.
And I kept 2 tokens by this point, and I just decided to go off. I had a good card in my arsenal, and I just had a hard for the whole game, and it was close, but you couldn't quite come back after that.
Yeah, I had no way of turning off my blood debt for the last turn. I think going in, I had Soul Harvest specialization, and I think going in is a potential argument for a different game plan where I arsenal that card and I play way more defensive, and I block out, try and get the chain close to decking out, and then play this massive time skippers.
Make me block.
Soul Harvest turn for like 10, 12 damage, right? Banishing all these cards. And really just chains banish a lot of cards by then, and then start stripping the hand and definitely getting over. But it was a very close game.
Yeah. And then in my last game, I played against Ryan Langrick, who's a Dominion player started playing recently. He's quite good. He's definitely improved massively.
Yeah, for sure.
And he was on Prism, so he was the Prism player that had survived the onslaught of Levia. He had beaten Liam in the semi-finals, and he was playing me in the finals. And my game plan going into that match was again quite similar. I wanted to slow roll. I wanted to ensure that he was playing the game with me, that we were trading damage, so that he was at a lower life total for me to go off and kill him without running out of cards. Unfortunately, though, my first banish, I banished a 6+. I had 3 of them in the deck, and one of them was my Soul Reaping. So I banish my Lunatic Plunderer. Second banish the other non-Soul Reaping 6+, and I had the Soul Reaping in my hand, and I blocked with so I think I had 4 including Soul Reaping.
Yeah.
I blocked with 1 on a Spears earlier, so I had no 6+ in my deck, and it was turn 2, turn 3.
Yeah.
About there. And I was thinking, I can't continue playing this slow game because I'm just going to get overrun. He's going to get cards in soul, tokens out. He's going to hit me with heralds I can't block. This is going to go really badly because, it's not sealed anymore. It's drafted. The cards he has are good.
Yeah.
He's already beaten a Levia player. His cards are strong, and I'm thinking I have to go for it. I go for it, and he makes the exact right play. He just swaps to blocking 4 cards every turn. Takes no damage, and I just don't have enough cards.
Yeah.
Get up to 5.
For him, it's much easier. If he can sense, if he can see that you've switched from defensive to aggressive,
it was really obvious because
for him.
I played a Soul Reaping.
Yeah.
I was going for it.
He'll see that and he'll go,
well played by him.
If at worst you try to stop, if you try to stop and play slow again, then he just gets to have aggressive.
Yeah.
Right?
Then he just hits me with a herald and I have to block and I lose.
Yeah.
Or he gets a token. So it's a really hard matchup for Chain if you don't have front huts.
Yeah.
So I just got blocked out, ran out of cards.
Just need
and
Dread
lost
Scythe.
that way.
Yeah.
But
Get Dread
definitely
Scythe.
a really good game and
Draft Dread Scythe.
kind of an excellent showcase of
Next time open Dread Scythe in your packs.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll just open the best card.
Yeah.
Alright.
It's the only card you need, mate.
Yeah.
Everything else is, meh.
Here I am. Maybe the curse of second is alive.
Yeah.
I came second in both skirmishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, second in skirmishes.
I won the
so
match in a random die roll anyway.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah. It was in one of our chats.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So Daniel essentially had the same outcome as first
I
place.
actually came second, but I had the exact same prize pool as first place.
Mine's on my wall now already.
Yeah.
And a top loader mounted on the wall.
The Neon Prime Man.
Yeah.
Mine's in my drawer. I'll bring it out to play.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool.
But yeah, I think draft. If you guys have a chance to play a limited Monarch format, if you can play draft.
Draft.
Yeah.
So much better than sealed.
It's
the
dynamics way more interesting with light and shadow. It's not just previous
it's not
drafts.
just prism mirrors all day long.
Yeah.
Which is what the sealed is.
Yeah. Drafts actually every hero is viable.
Yeah.
In
League
its own
players
way,
can
yeah.
actually shine without having a god pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get 8 people together and draft some Monarch. It doesn't have to be a skirmish. Boxes are really cheap right now. So
Yeah.
I reckon you would definitely do that.
Excellent mind games you can play as well, because it's not like, there's good generics, there's good shadow cards, there's good light cards, there's even bomb class cards like Soul Reaping especially is one where
Yeah.
there's even certain cards you're just like, okay, this card's got insane value.
Yeah.
And you get to play way more fun mind games.
And I mean, because you have to pick a hero and get your cards, you don't just fall into the I built a prison pile.
Yeah.
You're actually crafting your own deck. So I feel like there's so much more room to express your deck building than there is in sealed. So definitely draft.
Yeah, for sure.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right, I think we've talked enough about both skirmishes. Period. Let's drop that.
Yeah.
And move on to the next statement. What is next? I believe it is card of the week.
Is it card of the week?
Let's go to card of the week.
We're going to reveal card of the week. And you guys can share your opinions on this first. Card of the week.
No, you go first, Calum.
You're the guest. Alright, mate. So the
Go,
card of the
go,
week
go, go,
is Nourishing Emptiness, which is a red that costs 2 and reads...
It's a 6-power card with 3 block, and it has, while there are no attack action cards in your graveyard, Nourishing Emptiness has Dominate, and if this hits, your hero gains +1 until the end of turn.
So what does it read?
Go.
I will not speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. big trouble. I may be a little biased. I think the card when you're playing it is amazing.
Yeah.
Very I have had, personally, I've had terrible experiences playing against this card, and I hate it with a passion. I've been turn 1 Nourishing by Olivia into 5 Intellect, into them blocking out 2 cards, banishing 3, turn 2 Nourishing me with Dominate, and then I lose that match, and then my very next game I get turn 1 Nourishing Emptiness. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe the card's good, but I hate it. I don't play it.
It's a
love-hate relationship. I think it's a very interesting design. I love the artwork on the card, but as an individual who plays classes with not much armor,
This is one of those cards that makes you groan.
Yeah, I think it has a very interesting places in Wizard and Go Tool Dorinthia for sure. Yeah. I think it's very interesting in Go Tool Dorinthia. I quite like it quite a bit, where you're just playing all these non-attack actions.
It's just better than... I reckon it's better than Command.
I think it is for sure.
In the Go Tool Dorinthia. Because they're getting it... Yeah.
I think it's a very, very cool and interesting, I guess, replacement or alternative to Command in decks like Dorinthia. But...
Yeah, I just want to explain why it's so good and why it was played so much in our Blitz event. Is basically it's so hard to block because on a lot of the really powerful heroes in Blitz don't have a whole lot of armor.
Yeah.
So, Wizard doesn't have much armor, Ira doesn't have much armor.
You can block it on Ira, but you lose your mask and tunic straight off the bat, and it's like, not worth it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's just such a mission to block this thing that you just can't. Yeah. And it just gives such a massive advantage to the player that plays it. If you get this on turn 1 in Ira, you are way ahead.
Yeah.
Just the ceiling that it gives you, and then it can still block Prism.
Yeah.
Ira players were playing Red Brutal Assaults in their list for a while, and this is a strictly better Red Brutal Assault.
Yeah, it's just Brutal Assault, but does something.
Yeah.
So I've had it happen like 2 or 3 times against me as well, but I've only been able to play it once. And the turn that followed up was god tier because of it, like god tier.
The plays that you can make off this connecting are like next level, like 6 card hands. Right?
I think like I had a blue, I had a league tap in my hand and Nourishing, and I don't even know what the other card is. I don't even think the other card matters.
Yeah.
I just pitched a 3, Kadashi, pitched whatever the other card was, and Nourishing turn 1, and it's just like, that's 9 damage, and I get a 5 card hand that can't be stopped.
Yeah.
So I get to, Arsenal, a league tap, the red elite tap that I have, draw up my 5 card hand.
Yep.
Pitch for 3, Kadashi, league tap, Soulbeard Strike, Flying Kick.
Yeah, I mean, it just allows you to get off plays that are like just downright dirty.
I think it definitely it feels a lot more I guess oppressive in Blitz when it does come off, because Blitz is so much more swingy on like single turns. I mean, I think it feels worse on when it's turn 1 in a deck that it doesn't have it as like a tech like a Mario or Wizard. And Constructed, I think it's definitely interesting.
It's a lot easier to block though,
It's
right?
a lot easier.
People sideboard, people play defense reactions,
Yeah.
and you're not 6 dominate is not that big, really.
Yeah, and
you can stop it.
5 card hand isn't like the worst case scenario in constructed, right? One turn, you've got
You have
enough
time
time to claw it back.
Like,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
no one turn advantage is too big in classic constructed, but in Blitz it's a massive deal. I almost think this card should be restricted in Blitz.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like for me the design of the card just so overly rewards you for drawing it on turn 1 as opposed to drawing it somewhere else that it's too luck based.
Even if it's one card in your deck, 1 in 10 of your games, 1 in 10 of your games, you'll have it first turn.
Yeah. And if
in theory, if perfect
Have you got
probability,
2?
right?
It's 1 in 5, right?
And if you get it on turn 1, turn 2, and you're able to get the dominate effect off it, say 1 in 10 games, and you have like a 30% increased chance to win that game because of it, then it's worth its slot in the deck. And you know what? If you don't draw it, still blocks Prism, still blocks 3, still activates your Goliath Gauntlet, still comes in for 7, like Brutal Assault did back in the day. The card is just perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredibly strong. So
yeah, I definitely do like the design space of the card. The only intellect cards that we've seen have been Helm of Eisenspeak on Guardian and Pursuit of Knowledge,
which is
very
purposefully under
value
under
for a reason.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna get blocked, right?
Isn't there something else? I feel like there's something else.
There is not.
Strictly
there is
intellect based.
There's the Guardian Aura that
It gives you
intellect if you have pitched 2 cards. Stops hits triggers.
Stamp Authority.
Stamp Authority from Crucible also increases your intellect. But this is by far the most competitive way to do it. The most value, not only are you threatening 6 damage dominate, but you're also getting this advantage for your next turn. So, if you want to lose some friends, if you want to be competitive, play this in your deck.
Tell you what, it is funny.
Card is super sweet. Play it while it's legal.
Yeah,
get it in your deck now before it's too late.
This card feels downright unfair sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
I
I think it's a bit narrow to start calling it Command and Conquer 2.0, but Command and Conquer is a much fairer card than this.
Yeah,
I think. This card is funny playing into a Kano running it. I've played against Liam on Armory. He Kanos on at the end of my turn. Kano misses. I'm like, I wonder what this could possibly be. Next turn I get hit with Nourishing.
I think it is quite fair in Kano.
Yeah.
Like, it feels dirty, but there's definitely downsides to running it.
It's definitely better for them in constructed. I feel like it's way more unfair for everyone opposing them in Blitz because they get their turn 1. You're screwed. Your one game plan's gone.
Ridiculous in Warrior as well. Like it makes Warrior decks so much better. Because you can just. It doesn't matter about drawing a turn 1, turn 2. The Nourishing Emptiness is always active in those Ghost Hole builds, and you can just, pivot around the Nourishing Emptiness like super hard. You can lead into it. You can go.
You just go wide with the sword for that turn. So you do an unconditional go again with the sword, swing in, make them block the sword, and then Nourishing.
Spoils of War.
Yeah.
Spoils of War swing, Nourishing Emptiness, and it's just like, what do I do? I've already blocked.
I've already blocked the Spoils of War. I didn't want them swinging with the sword again.
If you want even more spice, if you have the resource, Spoils of War, swing, out for blood, get the reprise trigger, Nourishing of Emptiness for 7. Just a bunch of possible stuff.
Ruin your friendships while you're here, draw your route as well the next turn, and then they play your round.
If you want to play Friendless Warrior,
you deck
then you play Nourishing Emptiness and route together.
I think that's what I'm playing this season. Friendless Warrior.
Alright,
I think.
So what's starting the next podcast? Hey guys, welcome to the Art of War, and there's no co-host, there's no guest. I have no friends.
Oh no,
it's all me by myself. I played Warrior at the Armory. They were right, friendless. It's a very good card. It's very strong.
It's
and it definitely
way
makes its
stronger
way.
in Blitz than constructed, obviously.
Yeah.
But
like 2020, I should have played 2 of my Blitz list. I wasn't playing 2 of my Blitz list, but.
Have you been converted? Because I was saying you should play 2.
I didn't want to because I liked my like very go wide build, and it just doesn't present well for a very go wide build unless you get it off right.
Yeah.
And to me, the only good thing about it in Ira is getting the first turn right. Outside of that, it's just a 6 that command does better, right?
Yeah.
Flying kick does better, you know.
Yeah.
It's just But yeah, no, very good. Yep.
Cool Easter eggs in the art as well.
Yep.
Heavily recommend.
I
Anyone
think-
who hasn't paid attention to the art, look at the full res image, look at the background. Some very cool stuff there.
Spooky things happening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely like, I don't know. It's a very monarch card, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
very like monarch design with. It's only active sometimes. Can bite you in the ass if you don't draw it at the right time.
Yeah.
You know? And it's definitely a lot more, narrow than Command and Conquer, which I think is good. I don't think the game needs another Command and Conquer strike just yet, eh?
Not quite. I mean, in time we will need them because like other ones like them because it just
For the game-
pushes the
for
develop of the
for
game
for the
further,
game
right?
To evolve,
Yeah.
But
But
the moment,
it's just
the generics in the game are strong enough as
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
And you just need
That
more
said, I
classes.
do feel like a lot of the generics in Monarch are getting a lot of sleep. Like,
Yeah.
they just don't feel as good as the Wraith and Arc, which makes a lot of sense because those sets need to push a strong suit
Push-
to.
and I mean, a lot of
push
the
the
generics
game.
don't already exist, so it makes
Yeah.
sense to push some really powerful ones.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think people slept on this card a little bit at the beginning. I think people are still sleeping on Exude Confidence. I think that card has some real potential.
Yeah.
And we talked about Rouse the Ancients already. That card is very specific place that it's played in, but it's very powerful.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key things with these Monarch Majestics. If you look at Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising, E-Strike and Command and Conquer are kind of like these more generically good cards,
every
but
class card.
these
kind
are
of
like game plan specific, right?
Yeah.
They seem more geared towards a
almost
certain
like a,
game
like
plan.
a multi-class card. Like,
Yeah.
It says generic. You can play it in every deck, but it would like the Rouse the Ancients is a Guardian Brute card.
Yeah.
Not you wouldn't really play it in nature. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I think they're designed to be a bit more narrow.
Yeah.
I think it's very cool. Just pushing this more, getting people to hone in on like a certain game plan that they want to go for and build around.
Just like E-Strike isn't a Guardian card.
Yeah.
Yes, E-Strike is not a Guardian. Do not play E-Strike and Guardian, please.
One person. You know who you are. You know who you are. Stop it. Get it out. I don't want to see it. I see you play it. I want you to forfeit and leave.
Yo, you could have just told me that you didn't want me on that podcast, man. I'm sorry.
All right.
That's it. I think we've done well for this podcast. There is a few things I want to leave on and say. First of all, I want to apologize to all of our viewers for the last 2 weeks. Last week, I just gone back to work. My first 3 days, I did 3 12 hours in a row. I was very exhausted. Our stream manager was exhausted, and we didn't want to push content that
we
wasn't going to happy with.
Basically.
And unfortunately, the week before that was also really bad. We had very bad technical difficulties.
We did have an episode made, and the content was good, but we did have some technical difficulties
that made it
just not watchable.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Unfortunately, it just wasn't up to our standard. So we
Don't
want
wanna-
to
yeah.
release content that we're proud of. So
Yeah.
that's why there hasn't been content for 2 weeks, but we're coming back.
We are pushing harder. We're back in constructed season. We all have a lot to talk about over the next coming weeks as we move into Rotonet season.
Look
It'll be
forward
very
lot.
interesting.
to more guests, more people.
Yeah.
We're gonna sort out that giveaway soon. I know.
Well, no, we're gonna do it now. We didn't.
Oh, okay.
You remember that podcast didn't get put out, so no one knows anything about
That's
that.
true. We're gonna sort it out.
So I have 3 mats to give away. We're gonna give one. We'll try to give away one next week, depending on how this goes. It is a Sushi Night mat of the Sushi Night anime character in what's a red and golden field.
With, I
Field
believe,
Girls,
Spring
Friendship.
Yeah,
Terraform.
Forrester. Yeah.
So it's a really, really gorgeous looking mat. Very nice.
If you would like this mat, we'll just need your details and your shipping, but we'll deal with that once we announce the winner. Just comment on this thing. Tell us what you liked about the podcast. Tell us what heroes you're looking forward to constructed season.
Yep. Just comment anything if you like.
Yeah.
Feedback would be good as well.
Yeah.
So anything relevant, we'll put you in a draw to win. And when will we draw it? Nick?
Well, I mean, we give it a week or 2 weeks. I think we give it 2 weeks. I think that gives enough time for people to view
2
this.
weeks. So next week we'll have a reminder to enter it.
Yeah.
And then after that, the winner will be drawn, and we'll send
message
you.
We'll message you.
One of you lucky people, some nice mats.
Don't worry about wherever you are. Just get in. Yeah.
Worldwide. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very cool, Matt.
Anything else you want to say before we sign off? Today's Art of War.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for being
Good
here,
time.
Calum.
Forrester. We'll have you again sometime.
Yeah.
You've been great.
We'll get Kenny Rogers on next.
Yeah. I'll come as the alias. I'll get like a printout mask.
You just get borrow one of his hoodies, right?
That's true, yeah. Come with my Axis Dorinthia.
All right. Thank you guys for watching so much.
Thank you guys.
Remember to leave a comment to enter for those mats, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya. Bada bing.